Hi, my name is Leslie Palmer. I run an organisation called Sculpting and Smudge and we've been working with Groundswell Arts to make this wonderful pack for you. And we're going to show you how to make a Woodland Mobile. So in your craft kit you would have some of these things here already with your clay. And I think you should have some of these things ready. So I've got a little bowl of water here, something to wipe your hands on. Oh yeah, cover your clothes. And I've got a little bit of plastic here just to cover over my nice table. Something to roll with, a rolling pin, could be a bottle, could be a can, some things to cut with. That's the clay that you get in your pack. And then I thought it would be quite fun if you have some toys and things maybe that you can roll in, push. I've got a little stamp here that you can push into the clay to make patterns for cookie cutters. I have stars and I have circles, but you can also cut out as well. So I'll show you how to begin with the clay because that takes a little while to dry. So let's start making with the clay. I'm going to do 2, maybe 3 different things with it. I'm going to cut it. Think about here. I think I'll make some beads with this amount of clay. With this amount of clay, I think I'll roll it out to have a bit of fun with it. I'm going to make it into a flat tile. I'm going to make them into some shapes so that we can hang it on our mobile if I cut it out with this. I'm going to show you how to have some fun with it first. So I'm just going to set it aside. Clay should be nice and moist and wet. Actually, I'm going to cut another little piece here so you can see it a bit better. I'm going to make 3 different things there. I'm going to roll out. It's really important that you make clay no thinner than the width of your finger or the width of your thumb. So I'm going to roll it out now. Knead and roll. Get your hands in there. It feels messy, but you've always got a little bowl of water there, remember? You can always wash your hands, wipe your hands with your cloth. Into this bowl. I'm just knocking out the air. It's kind of like a knocking out motion. I'm going to roll it into a flattish tile. I think that's about right. So I'm just going to make it so I've got a little bit more width on there. Doesn't need to be perfect, just need you've got a nice flattish sort of area. And then I'm going to do the fun part. I might take Crocodile here and make him make some marks in here. That's his jaws, his hands. I might take this because I like them. Look at this. Roll it across. So I'm just making lots of different marks. If you don't have anything that you can put in, a good old-fashioned fork is quite amazing. I'm going to make a pattern out of that and I'll show you what they all look like. And cut it out. In order for those to hang, I've got a stick here, or a kebab stick. You can just put a hole, so I'll show you, so it goes all the way through, so I can hang the pieces. I think these will look lovely. And that's the one that I made myself. Put all the way through. And what it would be good is if you set it aside and maybe wait maybe a day or so. Those will dry up nicely. So those are some of the hanging elements there. I'm going to make some beads I think next. Okay, so let's try and make some beads. It should be something quite simple to do. I'm just going to take like a little piece like this. I'm going to roll. So they can be as big as you want, but make it so it's manageable for a child. So they might be able to do this, or they might be able to roll on the table. I find it easier just doing it with my hands, but I'm an adult, so it's trial and error. It doesn't really matter if it's round, perfectly round, a little bit lumpy. I'm going to make a few different sizes. They're not perfect, they don't need to be, but they do need to be thin, do you remember? Thickness of your thumb at the very least. I'm going to show you some beads just made out, it doesn't really matter, as long as it's kind of thick. If they just do this, it doesn't really matter. That's okay, it's a kind of funny barrel. They like squishing, and those shapes can go on too, so it's quite nice if it's random. Funny little barrels. So, they don't need to be perfect. Most important thing is that you make a hole in them so that they can be strung through. So it's up to you. If you imagine they could be stringing on a bead, like the bead will rest on your thong with a string that you've given that way or this way round, so you can just choose which way. I'm going to do it side on in this one, side on. Make a nice hole so it goes all the way through. Make sure it's large enough to take the string. Okay, so now I have a variety of things that I can hang. You can make as many beads as you want. With as much clay as you want. You might just want to make beads, you might want to just make shapes, it's up to you. But it should be something fun. It's not a task in which it's something that's got to be perfect, it's just about making things to string on. Next I'll show you how to make some owls. Okay, so let's make an owl. I'm going to take the fur coat that you have in your pack. I think it would be quite nice to make maybe the head of the owl on here, maybe part of the wing, but I'll think about what I've got here. So whenever you're making with clay, always try and make, try not to add on pieces, because it doesn't usually work. So I'm going to make it out of one piece. So I'm going to try a little head with a big owl. Let me see if this works. So I'm shaping it into a ball. I kind of want the owl's face to sit in the front of here. I know you have feathers, so I'm going to just use 2 feathers for the top of his head, but I'll show you that first. I'm just going to make some eyes. I'm going to use my little finger here, just as an indent. Another indent here. If you can see that. I'm using my nails a little bit. I'll use this tool so that you can see that I've made an indent with the eye. And then I'm going to just pinch a little bit in the middle so that I've got a beak area. Okay, I've done the eye area. I think I'll just make like a little, most owls have like a little ears here, like this. I might use my feathers at the top here. I think it might just add a little bit of drama to the top of his head. I'm going to use, he can't stand up, so I'm going to lie him down for a minute. I'm going to make 2 circles for the eyes. And sort of lay it on the inside. Of the indent. Make some marks. Let me try this. I've got something that's got a serrated edge, a little bit like the fork. Let's see if I can make something with it going around his eyes here like this. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work. Let's try again. Look. Okay, so I've made some owly eyes. It's got his little ears with the feathers. I'm just going to use some wings here because it's quite nice. The breast kind of looks like feathers, so I'm just going to do some wings on either side. I'm going to take about this much. I've got this amount of clay, so I'm going to use that. Using my finger and thumb, spread out like almost like a teardrop sort of shape. Just going to use that here. Press it into the cone, so hopefully when it dries, it will stay. I like the way it's taken the impression of the cone here. And the other one. Oops, rolling over. And again, I'm just going to squish with my, not too hard, with my thumb and finger. Little wings there. So that's how I've used my pine cone. You can use, do you remember you have some pipe cleaners? You can put into the scales of the, make him look like he's got some sort of feet. I've just doubled them over like this. Should really have 3, I think 3 claws. This one's having 2. So that's how I've worked that. Perhaps once that's dried, maybe in a day or 2, you can paint this, or you can leave it like this. It's quite charming as it is. Yeah, so that's how I've used my pine cone for my owl. So you can, eventually what I'll do is I will hang him up. I will just put some string around inside of the scales and he'll be able to hang from the back here. Okay, so that's him. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I sculpt an owl straight out of the clay. Remember, if it's getting a little bit too wet, you can always dry, you can always wet it just to moisten it a little bit. It doesn't need to be dunked, just to moisten. I'm going to roll it into a ball. I'm kind of making it slightly oval because I think owls are kind of an oval shape and more less so of a round shape. And I'll make it so it's a kind of like a bead. Now, you can be quite creative. You might want to use your pipe cleaners, going right way through it, making your feet like I have with the pine cone. I'm going to use a pine cone just to roll along its belly because I think it makes a nice sort of feathery impression. So and I'll make that his belly at the bottom. I'm going to make his face up here. I'm not going to do anything too fancy. I'm just going to make 2 eyes here. And then I'm going to just make an impression for his beak. If you can see that. It's nothing absolutely fancy, but that's just like a quick owl. I'm going to put a hole through his head, right the way down to his feet area, so that he'll string along like this on the... Now I thought maybe, I haven't tried this, but it might work. I suppose you can always glue it in afterwards, but I'm going to... It might be a bit big for him. Let me see if this one's a bit better. Might make some little wings for him as well. So that would be backwards. So we're just pushing them in, pushing it into the clay. I'd say go in a good 1/4 inch or so. I'm going to push it in a little bit so it just helps it a little bit. Looks like it's flying, but I just pushed it in a little bit there with a tool. So perhaps you could use your skeleton leaves. Not too happy with his beak bit, but it's a simple way of making it look like a little owl, like a little flying owl. Maybe embellish a little bit with the beak and things, or you can put feet through. So I've got this one here, so you can make an owl like that, sculpting. I'm going to show you how to make some bats using some of the pine cones you have in your kit. So you need a dark piece of paper. I'm going to draw it side on so that you can see. I can get maybe 3 wings, I think. So I've folded my piece of paper in half like this. So I'll get 2 sides of the wings. I'm going to do in various sizes to make a big bat or a small bat. I'm going to make sure that the curve comes in towards the middle. So you need to have just a little bit of an area here. I'm just going to colour that in so that you can see that becomes the middle of your... goes across the middle of the pine cone in between the scales. So I'm going to cut these out. And it's quite big, but the idea is you just take your pine cone and you just place it inside of the scales. That's one. That's another bat. This one might be a bit big for this one. That's another one. Now, mine just fit in there just fine. They're not falling out, so I'm not going to worry, but you could put a little bit of glue in there if you need to, but I think they sit inside the scales quite beautifully. Place it that way so it's not with all my colouring in on there. They're very simple. And then I'll use my thonging to hang them. So I'll show you, I'll just tie it round with a little bit. I think I'll use about this much. That's 30 centimetres, I think. You can make them shorter, you can make them longer. I'm going to make them all the same just so that you can see how I tie them all. And I'm going to use the scales again. I want it up this way round, so I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. And tie a knot. So, let me put this back in so you can see. Could maybe, if you've got a little bit of clay, you can maybe make eyes, or you can just leave them like that. I think they look quite beautiful like that. And to fly around like this. So I'll tie the rest of these up, and then I'll show you how I'll put it on the mobile. Okay, so now you've got some beautiful birch sticks here. There are different ways that you can set up your mobile. So you'll hang your things off. Either you can do it as a cross, or you can use it parallel. So your things are hanging off this, and in between. Or you can have it hanging off the ends of either these. And then you can hang it up towards your ceiling or somewhere safe where they don't pull it down. But I'm going to show you how to tie in a cross, because I think that might be the more difficult. I'm going to take some thonging. I'm going to use about 30 centimetres, and I hope that is enough. I was never in the Scouts, so I am going to do a figure of 8. You might need about 6 pairs of hands. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to cross over like in a figure of 8. And just keep going like that. And then the beauty of this is a little bit of a balancing act with all your items. So that's my crossed stick, and you'll need a piece that will hang it up. I don't know, maybe you'll have to check how long you need it from your ceiling or space, but once you've tied that on again, you can check how much you need. So I'll cut that off afterwards. Let me tie. And then, like all good physicians, you're going to have to be a physicist and work out how to balance and hang and weigh and weight off some of your items that you are hanging, so that it'll hang straight. So I'm going to cut this here, and then I'll show you how I've added something to my mobile. So I'm going to show you how I added the bead to the string, put it through. That's why it's really important that your hole was big enough for your string. I'm going to add a knot at the end so it doesn't fall down. And then I just added them in any order, any which way, to my mobile. Bats and owls, or stars, or moons, and beads, anyhow you'd like. Enjoy making your mobile.